Many often associate the work of Charles Taze Russell with that of William Miller. Russell himself never sought to hide the influence of Miller's teachings on what he believed, and I don't see anything evil or bad in such an influence. Many do try to make such a connection into something evil. These usually connect Russell with the Jehovah's Witnesses, although, as I have shown many times, Russell was never a member of the Jehovah's Witnesses. However, the Jehovah's Witnesses claim Russell to be one of their own, although they reject the core teachings of Russell. I will say that I have not studied the works of William Miller to any great extent, as I have done with the works of Charles Taze Russell. I have done some research related to Miller, however, in digging deeper beyond the general concepts often presented concerning Brother Miller. I could not find any place the Miller ever spoke of a Millerite movement. I highly doubt that he viewed himself as being the founder of what is often conveyed by the concept of Millerite movement. Miller himself appeared to be non-sectarian, and was more concerned about people's relationship with Jesus, than with belonging to a sect. It appears to be a trait of man's fallen flesh, however, to make a division, a sect, a heresy, with which their fallen carnal nature may be satisfied. What many often overlook, however, is that Miller was a Baptist preacher. He was licensed by the Baptist denomination in 1831, and continued as such until his death in 1849. What is often called the Millerite movement, however, consisted of people who were of many different denominations. It was not until after what many called the Great Disappointment that most of the denominations began to openly condemn Miller's ideas, and thus various Adventist groups began to be formed, apart from the more established denominations. Nevertheless, as a result of the condemnation of Miller and his teachings, many false accusations were formed about Miller, the greatest being that he was a false prophet. Brother Miller, however, never claimed to be a prophet, and he apparently considered himself simply as a Bible student who studied the prophecies of the Bible, and who presented his conclusions as a result of those studies. He definitely claimed no special authority as would a false prophet, and never made any demands that one had to accept his conclusions in order to be saved or to be a Christian. Nevertheless, Brother Miller did a strong emphasis on carefully examining biblical prophecies, with a special emphasis on the book of Daniel, in order to prepare oneself spiritually for the second coming. He thought that by comprehending these prophecies, especially the 2,300-day prophecy, Christians could ascertain when Christ will return and make the necessary preparations. Living in conformity with their interpretation of the prophecies, pursuing holiness, and spreading the gospel were all part of this preparation. Nevertheless, many who believed what he had written apparently did view him as being a prophet. Such appeared to elevate Miller in their eyes to as being divinely inspired, and someone to put their faith in. I do not believe that Miller himself had any intent or desire to be so exalted. Despite errors in his conclusions, I am sure that God did indeed make use of Brother Miller in a general way to awaken Christians' attention to Christ's return.